Okay, Marcel, can you see my screen
Yes,
now?
please.
Okay. Now, what I'm saying is so far we've done a lot of exercises, okay? And I've seen what that you guys you've done. You've done well. But this is how I want you guys to start tackling any question that I'll give you. Okay, so I'm going to go through all the questions so far. Marcel, you can mute your
Mm.
microphone, okay? Let's mute it so that I don't have. Okay, so now I'm going to go through all the questions that I've given you so far. So at least you'll be able to follow me and understand what I want you to do. Okay, so the first question, we are done with the lecture about variable data types and basic operations. Okay, so the question one was write a program that calculates the area of a rectangle using the given length and width. Okay. Print the result with an appropriate message. So this is the question. So what I want you to do the first time, anytime you see a question like this, the first thing you need to do to break the question down. Okay. So first you need to understand what the question mean. What does the question want you to do? So our first step is the problem is asking us, step one is asking us to create a program that calculates the area of a rectangle using the given length and width, and then print the result with an appropriate message. So this is what the question is asking from us. So this is the understanding of the problem. Now that you've gotten that, let's look at the solution. What solution can you come out from this problem that has been given you? So we have step two goes to plan the solution. So to solve these problems, we need to follow these steps. The first thing is to get the length and the width as what input from the user. So we decided to have a user engagement, create an application that the user can interact with. So that will be our first step is to get the length and the width as input from user. Now the next point is to calculate the area using the formula. Now we need to get a formula for us to get the area of a rectangle. So my area, that is the formula here, it will be length times the width. Okay. So third point would one, print the result along with an appropriate message. So once you're able to get this solution, this one tells you that now you know what to do. So you are going to use this solution that you came out with to write your code. So step three is to write the code. Now you'll be able to derive how you solve the problem. So now here we are going to write the code for the solution that we came out at step two. So we would go to step one, get the length and the width as input. So my length will be length assigned to floats because anything that comes from input comes as a string. So since I needed a number, I want a float. The reason being that your length and the width sometimes you can have a decimal, not integer. So since it's a I can get a decimal. I want to put everything in float. So now I say float input, then enter the length of a rectangle, then the width. So I'll do the same thing, enter the width of the rectangle. So here will give me the values for the length and the width. Now I'll move to step two to calculate the area. So the step two tells us to calculate the area. So the formula that we got, that will be area will be the length times the width. Okay. So once I've gotten that, my step three was to what, print the result with an appropriate message. So now I will say print the area of the rectangle is, then I will have my area. So here gives me the overview that you solve the question. Now you can go through step by step to be able to complete a task. Now my step 4, I needed to test to see what I've done, if everything is working. So step 4 will be test the program. Okay, so now let's run the program and test it with some example inputs. Okay, so here the question here, enter the length of the rectangle. This is where the pop-up message will come. So here I input 5. Enter the width of the rectangle. I also input 8. Okay, so now the output will be the area of the rectangle is, which is 40.0, because it's a float. So it means that when you multiply this 5 by this, you get 40. So that will give me the area of the rectangle. So in my explanation, what that I've done, what it means is that we use the input function to get the length and the width as the input from the user. Okay. The float function is used to convert the input value to a floating point numbers. Okay. We calculate the area of the rectangle by multiplying the length and the width. Okay. Finally, we use the print function to display the result along with an appropriate message. Okay. So once you are able to do that, it tells me that you've solved the question that I gave you. Okay. So here I will give you the full mark because now you really understand what you have done. So this is how I want you guys to solve any question that I'll give you. So I'm going to go through everything that we've done with you step by step. You realize if you're able to capture something like this, it tells me that you really know what you are doing. And it will also help you to understand exactly what you have done. And if you are called to explain your work, you could be able to explain everything step by step. Okay, so anytime you have any solution or any challenges, you know where you can tackle because you actually did the work and we're able to give a vivid explanation to what you have done. Okay, so kindly take notes of this. So this solve question 1 for us. Now the next question I also gave you, as I still was giving the temperature in Celsius, write a program to convert it to Fahrenheit using the formula. So now the formula was F assigned to C times 9/5 into bracket plus 32. Print the converted temperature. Okay, so here we need to break everything down step by step. Okay, so we need to break everything step by step. So step 1, we need to first understand the problem. Okay, so the problem here is asking us to create a program that converts a temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit using the given formula and then print the converted temperature. So that is the challenge that we're given. So to come out with a solution, step 2, you plan the solution. So to solve this problem, we need to follow these steps. Okay. First, get the temperature in Celsius as input from the user. Okay. Next point is to convert the Celsius temperature to Fahrenheit using the formula. So the formula here was F is into bracket C times 9/5 bracket close plus 32. The next point was print the converted what? Temperature. Okay, so now step three, write the code. So we are going to write our code. So here we go through step one. So step one is what? Get the temperature in Celsius as what? Input. So now you can get that. Okay, so to do that, Celsius is what? Input. You know, float input, enter the temperature in Celsius. So here gives us the value in what? A float, a floating point, and we will save it in what? In Celsius variable. Our step two was convert Celsius to Fahrenheit. So now we say Fahrenheit will also be assigned to Celsius times, that is C, times 9/5 plus 32. Okay, so that is our formula. So step three, print the converted temperature. So now here we can see the temperature in Fahrenheit is, then you give the Fahrenheit. So that tells you that you are done. So now in step four, we want to test to see what we've written, everything is working correctly for us. So let's run the program to see. So here, once you run your program, to ask you to enter the temperature in Celsius. So here I input in 25, and then the output will be the temperature in Fahrenheit is 77.0. Okay, so when you are done, then in the explanation to all that you've done, we use input function to get the temperature in Celsius as input from the user. Then we have the floating point. The float function is also used to convert input value into a floating point number. Okay, we convert the temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit using, okay, so we convert the temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit using the provided formula, which was provided to you. So finally, we use the print function to display the converted temperature along with a message. Okay, so this tells you that you've solved the question, and you'll be able to also explain every step by step what you have done. So with this, I'll give you the full mark, because now you'll be able to tell me how, what the solution, what the problem was, the solution, how to derive the solution, and then you use that one to write your code. Okay, so you'll be able to write your code out of that, and then you also test your code to see this, when you test this, how the whole thing was working, and you give explanation of everything that you did, the function, whatever that you use, and why you use that. Okay, that tells me that you really understand what you've done. Okay, so this is how I want you guys to solve any question that I will give you. Make sure you break them down. Now, question three was here, write a program that swaps the value of two variable without using a temporal variable. Okay, so here too you need to break everything down. So first thing, you need to really understand the problem. So here the problem is asking us to create a program that swaps the value of two variables without using a temporal variable. So it means we are going to use the same thing without using another, introduce another variable to that. So how do we solve that? So we plan the solution. Now, to swap the values of two variables, we are talking about a value. So to swap the values of two variables without using a temporal variable, we can use arithmetic operation. So Iwara tells me that you are going to use arithmetic operation to solve this. Okay, so let us know what are you going to use to solve that. Now that you're able to point to us that you are going to use arithmetic, you come to the next point to get the values of two variable as input from user. So now I'm going to get the value from the user. The next point, update the value with the variable using arithmetic operation to perform the swap. Okay, so now we are going to update the values of the variable using the arithmetic operation to perform the swap. Okay, because we are saying that the question was asked that you should not introduce another variable. So now, in order to get that, we are using arithmetic operation to be able to do our or perform our swap. Now, the third point is to print the updated value of the variable. Okay, so we will print the updated value of the variable. So this is how our code will be like. Okay, so in step one, we get the value from the values from the two variable as input. So now I have variable A who will be what float. So input, then enter the value of variable A. Then variable B, enter the value of variable B. So now I have them as a floating point value. Okay, so in step 2, swap the value without using the temporal variable. So this is how we are going to swap the value. So variable 1, A plus B will be assigned to A. Okay, so whatever value that I'll enter, I'm using the arithmetic operation here, adding the two. So A plus B will be assigned to A. Then the B, I'm going to say that A minus B will also be assigned to B. Okay, so now when you have this, so this is your formula. So if my A here was, let's say, 8, and my B was, let's say, 4, which will give me 12. So now my A is 12. Now B will be what? A, which is now 12 because it has been updated. A, which is now 12, minus B, which is now what? B, which is 4. Now I'm going to also update here to be what? To be 8. So when we subtract this from here will be what? 8. So that tells you that now I've gotten my A, I've gotten my B. So now we move on to A again. So now I'll swap again because my A here now is 12. I'll subtract from my B, which is now what? 8 will give me 4. So now you realize the swapping has been done. So this is how you come. So now step 3, we say well, print the updated value from the variable. So the after swapping, so now you create after swapping, I will say print value of variable A is A, that will be, and the value of variable B is B. So now you can test your program to see if everything is working. So to enter the value of the variable A, which is 5, enter the value of variable B, which is 8. So now when you get that, the output here, based on the formula that we gave, then it means that you are going to have value of variable A being 8 and the value for variable B being 5. Okay, so that tells me that you really understand. So in explanation to what we've done, so we use input function to capture the values of the two variables A, B as what input from what the user, and the float function is also used to convert the input values to a floating point numbers. Okay, To swap the values without using a temporal variable, we first update the value of A to be the sum of A and B. Okay, then we update the value of B to the difference between the new A and the original B. Okay, effectively storing the original value of A in what? B. Okay, so that's what it means. Now, when we move on further, finally, we update the value of A to be the difference between the new A and the new B. So effectively storing the original value of B in A. So we use the print function to display the updated values of the variable after the swap. Okay, so this is how you work now, because when I explain this, you really understand how the question came about and then how you'll be able to break them down to derive your solution. Okay, now when we move on to, I also added a logical question to it. So with our logical reason question, the question was, have a list of numbers, okay, which is two. You can have a list of numbers, which is what? 2, 4, 6, 8. Write a Python program to calculate the sum of all the numbers in the list. So here, how I solve it, I think some of you came out with a fantastic idea how to solve that. Okay, so anyhow you come out with it, it's okay with me. But all that I want you guys to do is to follow the steps that I'm giving you. So here, the first thing is we need to break the question down to be able to get the solution. So given the list, so we were given a list. Okay, so the list was what? Two. So you assign that list that was given to you here as a list to a variable. So now all these ones will be in what? A variable. Okay, will be in a variable. So now that we have everything in the list in the variable, the next point to calculate the sum of the numbers in the variable in the list. So if I want to calculate, in Python we have what we call sum. Okay, so you can use the sum function to do that. Okay, so here what I will say, the sum of numbers will be what? The sum into bracket this. So when you use sum here, it's going to sum everything within the list for you. Okay, then here you can print your value. Okay, you can print it, or you can also decide, because we've not done a list. Okay, so because it's logical, I expect you to come up with your own way of solving that. Okay, so now the explanation here, to explain everything, to start with a given list of numbers which was given to us. We use the sum function to calculate the sum of all numbers in the list of numbers. So we use the print function to display the calculated sum along with a message. Okay, when you run the program with an output, you are able to get the list as what, the sum as what? 20. Okay, so this is how I really want you guys to. So this gives us week 1. So you can see that week 2, this is what we actually did. Okay, about, we talked about variables and I gave you all these things. So this is how I want. So I'm going to take my time to complete all this. So I'll upload everything here on the platform for you. What I'm discussing with you here, I will upload them on the platform so you have a copy there. But you need to study them, the format I want you guys to use to solve question for me. Anytime I give you something to solve, this is the format I want you to do, to follow, to be able to solve the question for me. Okay. If you really have any question based on what I've discussed with you today, you can you can come out and then we discuss that. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Benson. Mm-hmm.
Sir,
Yeah, Benson. Yeah, I can
sir,
hear
please can
you.
you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, you can talk. I can hear you, Benson.
Sir, actually, I just joined.
Yeah,
So, sir, please can you take me through some of the things you did?
which one?
The
Are
Sir,
you talking
please,
about the
yes.
questions? Okay, so the meeting, this one is a recorded meeting. Okay, it's a recorded
Sir,
meeting, so everything has been recorded. Yeah. So after this meeting, I will upload everything there so you can have the full video. Okay. Do you
Sir, please, yes.
understand? Okay. So just a question that I've given you. I've given you these questions. I asked you to solve these questions. Okay. You realize when we completed variables, data types, and basic operation, I gave you some questions to solve. Okay. And I'm telling you that how you solve it, that's not how I want you guys to be solving questions for me. So I'm doing all the ones that you've given me. You've done well, you've gotten the solution, but I don't want it that way. I want you to learn how to break problems down, how to break it down, how to be able to derive your solution. So you can see here the question that was given to us. Now you need to state the problem challenging you here. So you can see here the question was, write a program that calculate the area of a rectangle using the given length and width. Okay, print the result with an appropriate word message. So you need to break them down step by step. Okay, so here, step one, you first need to understand the problem that was given you. So you can pick the problem from here. So you can see here, the problem is asking us to create what? A program that calculates the area of what? A rectangle using the given length and width. Okay, and then print what? The result with an appropriate message. Okay, so once I've gotten this, the next point is step two, plan the solution. Now you need to plan your solution. How are you going to solve this problem? So from here, to solve this problem, we need to follow the steps. Okay, so the first thing is we have to get the length and the width as what input from the user. Okay, so now we want the user to interact. Okay, because it's asking us to calculate the area of a rectangle. We know the rectangle will have the length and the width. Okay, so what we are saying is to get the length and the width as input from the user. Okay, then the next point is you need to calculate the area. So to calculate the area, that will be the point two. Calculate the area using the formula. So the formula will be the length times the width. Okay, now the next point is to print the result along with appropriate message. So this gives you the solution. So now you'll be able to derive your solution. Now you need to turn this solution that you derive here into code, into Python code. This one is not a Python code. You'll be able to derive the solution. So with this, I know you understand the question and then you know what to do. So now you use this one that you captured here to write your Python code. So when you come here, the first one is to get the length and the width from as what input from user. So here step one, to get the length and the width as input, I will say the length, which is for floats input, enter the length of the rectangle. Okay, then I'll come to the width, floats input, enter the width of the rectangle. So now I'm going to get that. Now when I've gotten those inputs from the user, I need to calculate my area. So to calculate those, step two is calculate area. So you calculate the area. See, area is for the length times the width. Okay, so once you are done, you step three will be your print the result with an appropriate message. So you realize that every line I've captioned it. There's a caption. That's how I want. There's a comment. You can see there's comment everywhere. Okay, so now print the area of the rectangle is what? Area. So this is the appropriate message that he wanted. That is a description to what you give the answer. Okay, now step four, I needed to test everything that I've done. So to test the program, first thing is enter the length of the rectangle, which I gave 5, enter the width of the rectangle, which I gave 8. So my output will be the area of the rectangle, that will be the appropriate message, and then the area, which is multiplication of this. So now once I'm done with my code. Then I need to explain what all the things that I just did. So in your explanation, what you use what the input function to get the length and the width as input from the user. Okay, the float function is also used to convert the input values to what a floating point numbers. Okay, then the third point is to calculate the area of the rectangle by what? Multiplying what? The length and what? The width. Finally, we use the print function to display the result along with an appropriate message. So this is how I want you to solve. That's what I went through. So when you go through uh, the video that I will send, you get everything step by step. And I'll also upload the solution that I've done here onto our learning management platform, so you can download them and follow the steps. So anytime I give any question to you, this is how I want you to follow to solve the problem that I'll give you. I hope you're okay now.
Sir,
Yeah, Benson, are you okay now?
sir, please, yes.
Okay, okay, okay. Marcel, can you hear me?
Hi.
Hello. Yeah, I hope
Yes,
you can
please.
hear me. So, do you
Yes,
understand
please.
everything? Okay, so this is how you need to solve any question that I'll be giving you. Okay, so I've gone through most of them, so I'm going to send all those ones on the platform, all the questions that we've done, and I want you guys to go over and revisit all the assignments we've done and capture it the way that I'm doing for you. Okay. The reason is you are not just doing, I want you guys to understand the programming very well. It's not something that maybe you need to chew. That's why I'm not rushing you. We know we have time and I want you guys to understand. So once you move from variable and all those things, you really understand when we are dealing with function, you need to understand function very well, how to manipulate function. You really need to understand. If you are doing conditional statement, you really need to understand what a conditional statement means and how to derive, how to manipulate conditional statement if your question is given to you. How do you use conditional statement to solve? When we are talking about loops, how do we use loops? At what point do you need to use this loop? You know, we have the while loop, the for loop. What is the difference? We need to understand everything. Okay, so that's why I always ask you need to spend time to program. Okay, so anytime a question is being given to you and be able to break them down like what I'm giving you right now, it tells you that your understanding will increase because you tend to understand every step what you've done. And if there's any mistake somewhere, based on what you have done, you can go through and know where the challenge is, where the mistakes are, and you'll be able to fix them. Okay. So when there's no question again, we will leave where I want to complete everything and upload them on the platform. So by tomorrow you can have everything. You can visit the site. You should have everything. You can download everything to yourself and go over. But then I will also upload this video and share the link to you so that it will guide you if you don't really understand anything. It's going to guide you to go through all those process. Okay. If there's no question again, then we can close this session.
Hello,
Hello.
sir.
Yeah, I guess there's no question, right? Do you have any question
Okay.
for me? Okay, okay. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. So you can check the site tomorrow and do the download of everything.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye.